全球人口老龄化大潮带来千亿抗衰老市场。从一根汤匙到全球50个市场版图，科技领先是关键。
We will not only be able to continue to innovate here in the United States, but we will also be able to continue to innovate specifically in Greater China.
大正商道即将关注。
我们刚刚送走了第22个世界人口日，今年的主题是70亿人的世界。因为根据联合国人口基金的统计，到今年10月底，世界人口将会突破70亿，而目前60岁以上的老年人口约有6亿。人口老龄化成为困扰世界的新问题，但同时也带来了新兴的抗衰老市场。有数据就显示，目前抗衰老市场产值约有1000亿美元。而27年前，美国如星集团就开始了抗衰老技术的研究。
如果把人的一生定为100岁，最容易出现健康问题的年龄在62岁左右，而在此之后，身体开始全面加速老化。
My objective in helping to keep people healthy as they age through their life is really based on a very personal reason. And this personal reason is watching my father getting old, and I was very sad to see how he aged and actually lost his quality of life. In other words, he got sick at about 75 years old, and he didn't die until about 6 years later.
为了保持健康和对老年生命质量的追求，如星集团的科研人员们开始了对延缓衰老的研究。
Well, in my first half of my career, I actually focused, like you said, on developing drugs to fight and treat diseases. My thinking started to change and say, well, it's very good to help people to cure diseases, but is there a better way to actually help people to prevent having a disease? And that really starting to change my thinking and say, if I can actually help people to prevent disease, then I can help a whole lot more people than I can by developing drugs.
这里是美国的威斯康星大学，在这个静谧的校园里，一项对猴子饮食热量控制的临床研究正在进行。这个研究开始于1989年，科研人员将年龄在7岁至到14岁的76只恒河猴分成2组，一组为控制组，保持日常的饮食，而另一组为热量的限制组。在保证足够的营养的前提之下，食物中的热量比前一组降低30%。
These monkeys, some like to eat a lot, some don't eat much. We determined their food intake based on their individual habits. So, and then we lowered the food intake for that animal by 30%.
一般人工饲养的恒河猴平均寿命约为27岁，在20年后研究结束时，控制组的恒河猴有50%仍然活着，而热量限制组存活者的比例达到80%。
The animals are now either old or dead, and we've observed that caloric restriction in monkeys, in this case rhesus monkeys, which can live as long as 40 years, does improve their survival, does make them far less resistant to getting a disease of aging such as cancer or diabetes, and it also preserves several functions that we have studied in their brains.
魏德里和彭岳涛是美国生命基因科技中心的教授。魏德里教授的专业领域在于研究老化和限制热量的关系，彭岳涛教授则在研究导致老化基因方面有着很深的造诣。在发现限制热量的猴子可以推迟老化和延长寿命之后，他们在研究2组猴子的基因排序，终于掌握了基因老化过程的详细分析。
So aging is actually a very complex process, and it's influenced by a large number of genes. So most laboratories studying aging focus on a single gene, and it's relatively easy to identify one gene that has some impact in aging because there are so many. But what's different about our approach is that we have the data and the technology to scan the entire human genome for groups of genes that impact the aging process.
1999年及2009年，国际权威科学杂志《Science》2度发表了美国生命基因科技中心的报告。经过长达20年对猴子饮食热量控制的临床研究，他们从青春基因群组中确认了老化的根源，为揭示人类基因抗衰老提供了可能性。
We have discovered the fundamental sources of aging. And these fundamental sources of aging are called age-related genes. And by this unique discovery of age-related genes, we now have the ability to design ingredients or to test ingredients to see how they can influence these genes so that we can reset them back to a more youthful state.
那么我们现在建立的这个平台也是借鉴于他们猴子的这样一个试验，我们呢改用了小鼠的这样一个模型。这个体现呢，就是说呢，抗衰老，我们这个 ageLOC technology 这个技术本身呢，实际上是建立了一个平台。这个平台的筛选，让我们能够找到有效的成分，经过了特殊的工艺，经过了我们的这个特殊的这个组分把这个有效的成分组织起来。
如新集团的科研团队犹如一个金三角，除了在威斯康星州大学的美国生命基因科技中心，还有另外2个重要的支点。他们一个是整合了公司核心资源位于犹他州的抗衰老研究中心，另一个是美国斯坦福科研人员。在这些世界顶级的顾问团当中，既有斯坦福大学化学系荣誉教授避孕药之父翟若士教授，也有被称为抗氧化之父的雷帕克教授。在强大的顾问团及科研协作下，如新集团以重设青春基因群组，从而逆转老化现象的技术为基础，推出了 ageLOC 系列产品，有针对性的辨识并直击老化的根源。
That everything that happens to our body is happening through something is changing at the genetic level. And that is what we are focusing on to see how we can keep our genes as healthy as possible. And this approach we call ageLOC.
ageLOC is a huge step forward in anti-aging technology because for the first time ever, we're now able to measure and to monitor the impact of both topically applied products as well as ingested products on the human genome.
抗衰老行业伴随着人口老龄化而兴起。1984年，正准备进入法学院攻读硕士的罗百里先生发现，当时的保养品市场有很大的发展空间，所用成分也是有待提纯。于是以$5000起家，成立了如新公司。当年制成品被放在了一个1加仑空罐内，对产品有兴趣的顾客要自备容器到罗百里家中，让罗百里用汤勺为他们装填产品。那根汤勺也就成为了如新集团版图的开端。从一根汤勺到如今的全球50个地区，如新制胜市场的法宝，除了在科研领域的前瞻布局和持续投入之外，还有荟萃优质的品质理念和全方位均衡布局的经营策略。
普罗沃市是美国犹他州的一个小城，人口只有11万。美国如新集团的总部正坐落在这个静谧的小城。从1984年创立开始，荟萃优质、纯然无瑕，便成为了如新的产品理念。
From the very early days of the company, our philosophy has been to create products that incorporate all of the good ingredients that are available in the world, whether they come from science or whether they come from nature, and to exclude all of the bad ingredients that are sometimes used in personal care products and nutrition products. That philosophy was very different in the marketplace.
Our ingredients are really tested through a process that we call the 6S process. In fact, when we developed this process, it was perhaps one of the only high-quality, good manufacturing process that was occurring in the supplement industry. So this 6S process helps this company, Nu Skin, to make safe, very important to us, and effective supplements for our consumers.
在1990年，如新开始进军国际市场，并在1991年成立了香港分公司，成为亚太区的首个市场。 有业界分析指出，目前抗衰老产品的总值达到了1000亿美元，并持续以8%至10%的增长率逐年递增。其中，亚太地区将是增长最快的地区之一。到2015年，抗老产品的增长率将达到82%。
The supplement industry is going to grow every year. In fact, it's going to double probably every year. The reason for this is because as you look at the whole world and all the populations in every country, you're starting to see that people are getting older. So this creates what we call a mega trend. In other words, it's a trend that is not going to disappear. The population, the global population is going to get older. And when they get older, they will need to have supplements to keep them healthy. So it is a very healthy and growing industry.
在中国，老龄化程度加速。在目前，中国有1.78亿老年人口，到2015年将再次的翻倍。而同时，中国人的财富也在不断的增加，这两方面造就了中国巨大的抗衰老市场。但对于巨大的中国市场，如新集团整整考察了9年，才决定拿出超过10亿的投资投入中国市场。
With the growth of the economic power of the Chinese consumer, the rapid escalation in economic development in mainland China, you can't open a newspaper or a magazine here in the United States without reading about economic development in China. The eyes of all the world are turned to China as we witness this historic evolution and economic development cycle. So we could not be more excited about the mainland China market. We think that it has enormous long-term potential. We do very well in other Chinese environments, and so that's why we have such high expectations for mainland China.
从2008年，如新开始在中国全面推出体验营销，在东西南北4个大区开设1000平方米以上的体验馆，通过体验馆、形象店、时尚店提供全新的体验式营销。有数据显示，如新集团2010年营业收入达到了15.4亿美元，相比2009年同期净增15%，而其中中国内地市场表现尤为活跃，全年营收增长率达47%，是增长速度最快的地区之一。
Where we will house our new corporate headquarters for the Greater China region. We will build out manufacturing facilities there to be able to manufacture for the Greater China region, and we'll also house our China-based scientists in world-class laboratories that we'll build out in our Shanghai facility. So we will not only be able to continue to innovate here in the United States, but we will also be able to continue to innovate specifically in Greater China for the Asian region generally.
目前，如新已在全球近50个地区设有分公司，拥有超过80万销售人员。
We tend to use the phrase, be local, but think global. And that really was the vision of the founders in 1984, which is why they named the company Nu Skin International, because they always intended for it to be a global company. So, yeah, you wouldn't think that here in a small town like Provo we could have such a global enterprise. But that's one of the beauties of doing business today, is that you can operate from even a small environment and still have a global business.
从一根汤勺发端到如今，如新集团已经迈入了第27个年头。一家企业想要领跑抗衰老市场，需要做的是开发出让客户重返年轻的新产品。但对于整个企业而言，永葆青春更需要找到企业的长青基因，而科研领先、始终如一的品质理念和对市场前瞻布局，或许就是其中的关键。